Hello YouTube, this is NJ405 and figured it's probably time to start working on my second capacitor welder. And before I do that, I had actually had these boards made by Easy EDA. For those that follow my videos, I'd actually looked online to purchase some boards that would give me 12 volts, and they went at like $40 in America, and I think to buy them in China was like 12 bucks. I didn't really want to wait on them that much, so I decided that I was going to go ahead and make them myself. I mean, how hard could it be? Or I figured how hard could it be, so I went ahead and I designed this board myself. I tried to take, I looked at a few different designs, I looked at a few different ways people had them, and the only one I could come up with was something like this. This is pretty basic, simple. I just basically made sure that I left the positive and negative, a big pad, and what I did is I just followed, the negative, and then the outside positive to the other negative, outside positive to the negative, and I just made the lines bigger on Easy EDA, and then I kind of just filled it in the back. It's pretty basic. I took it was hard to find the capacitor that I had, only because every time I looked at the capacitor on Easy EDA, it showed like some other kind of capacitor. I think they were 350 what are they called, Farads, but they had like a top and a bottom to them, and it wasn't the one that I found. So I got to doing a bunch of research, and I found, oh man, I found these. And when I found these, I guess the guy was using them for like a potato robot or some kind of robot or something like that. But anyways, he was using these capacitors to help hold the charge, and I guess he would stagger them something like this, which I can't really see because you think the capacitor would get in the way, but it looked like he had a few of them done correctly, and I'm not really sure. I'd have to go back and look at the video, or it's not really actually video, it's just a post. But he had them connected in a way that he could put like 2 together, 3 together, 4 together, whatever he needed. So I went ahead and I made 10 of those that he had made. So this is actually not my design, but I took the capacitor that he had already had, and I used them on mine, along with making the traces bigger and all that good stuff. And then with a little bit more research, I found like most people would use this kind of mixture of a 1N4001 with a green LED, not the bright one, the kind of I guess it would be more of a green LED. They'd use a 5.1 ohm resistor, and I guess the combination would give them 2.5 volts, and the light would come on whenever it got charged. And they did it all the way across. But then looking at another post, the guy said that these took extremely long time to charge, so the guy decided to go with 2.7 Zener diode. He said once he went with a Zener diode that these charged a lot quicker, and he decided just to leave the 1N4001 and the green LED and the 5 ohm resistor. He said it was kind of cool because these would come on as these charged. He said the combination of the Zener diode and these made sure that it stayed pretty well balanced, pretty evenly. He didn't use a board on his. On his, he kind of used wire and whatnot. It was kind of a big old mess of capacitors, and it was the same kind of capacitor. He just used wire. He didn't use a board. So I took the board. I'm pretty certain the Zener diode don't matter, just as long as it's on there. I have it. I kind of looked at it, and it looked like he had the positive going this way, so I went ahead and I put the positive going in that direction, and the top two may be wrong. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. Those may be flipped. I'm not really sure how I have that. I know that when I designed it, I wanted to make sure that the negative hit the negative, the positive hit the positive, and I tried to make the traces on both sides so that they weren't running into each other. So it's possible that these are on correctly. It's just the way I did it, because I'm looking at a positive here, and the back side's negative. And so this would be the positive, which means this would be the positive. So the positive touching, yeah, so I did do the top ones right. And I figured what I'm gonna do is, before I start soldering on components on the board, I figured I'd better do a quick test, because I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is how it needs to be done, but I'm not 100% sure that I have everything in the correct direction. You know, I'd hate to put it all together and find out I did wrong. But that's what I'm gonna do now before I do any of this. And I advise anybody else that, you know, don't really design boards. I don't design boards. I just kind of went by common sense and designed this board. So people that don't design boards like us need to make sure that we test everything before we put it together, or we might end up with, you know, a disaster. So I've got a, I guess it's called a testing breadboard or whatever they call them. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. Then I'm going to go ahead and add the components to it. And I'm going to see what it does when you add 2.7 volts to it, and see if, let's see if I put everything correctly, make sure that I didn't mess anything up. So I'll get set up for that real quick, and I'll do the testing. And if everything goes well, then we'll throw together our 3 boards. Alright, so what I got here is I've got the 5.1 ohm resistor. I went ahead and purchased some. I already had some, you know, that I had in stock, but for this particular project I wanted to purchase all brand new stuff just to make sure I had plenty. I have the green LEDs in here. I've got the bigger ones and I've got the smaller ones. I believe one of these clear is actually green too, and I think that's the bright one, but I'm going to use either the smaller one or the average sized one, but those are the dim ones. I also purchased some 1N4001 50 volt 1 amps, but later I found out that these SB160s 1 amp 60 volts can be used also. It could be either or. This is what it called for, but I had some of these extras that I purchased with the 5 volt Zener diodes for another project, so if I run out I have extra. These are the Zener diodes. These are the 2.7 volts 2.7 volts 1.3 watts, and I believe that's all there really is to this. I mean, besides the capacitor, and I've got plenty of those for testing. I actually purchased these from a reputable dealer. There's 2.7, so if I go below, there's under, there's 1.8, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7. Alright guys, I know that this looks like a big old mess of punk, bunk, junk, all kinds of crap all over the table, but it looks like it was kind of successful. So not really sure how else I can test it right now. I did find out that that bulb unfortunately is defective, so I'm gonna have to replace that bulb. But the lights came on as it was charged to 2.7. Nothing got warm, everything felt like it was supposed to. I'm assuming the right energy is coming out of here. Let's see, negative 15.28, and it's slowly going down. I believe it's somewhere around 350 farads. So more than likely I'm gonna make 2 other ones exactly like this, and I should be able to use these and these through bolts that I purchased from the local hardware store, and that should give me enough power to power my capacitor welder. Alright, so this is the last one. They've all been going about as fast whenever I'm charging them. Each one after I'm done, I kind of have to do it kind of slow. I kind of feel, make sure nothing gets warm. Right now it says 0.05. I'm gonna wait till exactly 6:08 and I'll press power and hope for the best. And that's at 4 amps right now. Fixing to hit 1 minute. What I've noticed with the other ones is if I let them set over a night or a couple days, they usually go down to about 9 volts, and they kind of just sit there. Fixing to hit the 2-minute mark. I also found out that these are 58.33 farads at 16.20 volts. 3 minutes and 12 volts. They should be fully lit at 16 each, which means that each capacitor is charging how it's supposed to charge. Looks like these 2 far ones are charging a little slower. The amps are starting to wind down. Last time I kind of let the amps run a little bit longer, and I noticed that if I let the amps go all the way down to like a lower number of like 0.20 milliamps, it tend to stay charged a little bit longer. So I believe that was 6 minutes total, and it's sitting at 51 milliamps and going lower as I talk. So 6 minutes it took it to charge. What I have 58.33 Farads. So now I'm going to let it charge for a little bit more. Figure this would probably be a good time to end the video too. Hopefully the next video will be more on building the welder. That one's going to be a little bit more complicated. This is kind of simple. I mean, you can't be getting stuff from EZDA and it working. So these are actually pretty powerful. I messed up and I crossed the wires not too long ago on a set of these and I ruined them. So you have to be really careful. I've got 3 sets of these done. I'm hoping to put them in a sort of a parallel, kind of stacked on top of each other, and of course they're going to be protected for anybody asks. And I'm going to build it from there, and I'm hoping it gives me enough power that I can do quite a bit of tab welds. So that'll be in another video. I just wanted to end this video with the capacitors being done, all 3 of them. Let's go ahead and turn this one off. And of course it's going to go down with that connected to it because, you know, it's got all the power and everything to it. But I wanted to just throw all 3 of them up here on the board. I got a lot of cleaning to do. Still feeling kind of icky, guys, but I'm getting there. Alright, so there they are. They're all completed and ready to go. The only light I had any issues with is this one, and I just bypassed it altogether. Seemed to do the job. So hopefully this turns out how I have it in my head. You know how that goes. Alright guys, so there's a capacitor part. Probably the first part to the capacitor welder. I just wanted to show you guys this. I have these boards and it looks like I have a few left. If you're interested, man, just, you know, drop me an email or whatever. You know, I could probably send you guys the I believe they call it the Gerber files or whatever. And, I mean, maybe you're close enough and just grab one of these. I don't, you know, I can't see me needing any more of them, but you never know. I plan on using, I've got a few capacitors left that I plan on using these just to mess around with. I seen a guy who made a pretty cool little tab welder out of just one of them. There's a guy I like to follow, but I'll probably play around with those a little bit later on. But that's about as far as I wanted to go with these. Everyone I've tested lasts just as long as this one is. I mean, I can go back here in a little bit and they'll still be fully charged. Couple of days I'll look at it, they all sit around 9 volts. I use 2-ounce copper, so I didn't want, you know, I don't want no issues whenever I run these, because I don't plan on pulling too much power out of them to make the tab welds, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, there wasn't no melting or nothing like that. So I try to use 2-ounce coppers. I try to use thicker, you know, lines and all the other good stuff. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I will check you guys out in my next video.